Can I share some things I noticed within the farmers section?
Yes, please.
So some main themes that I saw were government control, and that this government control, I was looking at farmers, it directly had a negative impact on farmers. In my specific reading, I noticed that the the control of the government created really tough and difficult living situations for farmers, and many of them ended up uh, they were able to keep some of their food, but they were small portions and they were not enough, so many farmers ended up starving with their families, and this ended up leading to a revolt. So the main themes I saw were government control, negative impacts on the group, and a revolt.
Mine was
Ah, that
similar
was
too with the government control, and then it resulted in the merchants not being able to sell anything produced in Korea. They could only trade from Japanese products. And so I don't know if the word was, they rebelled. I guess it said rebelled in there.
Mhm.
In mine, factory workers were given jobs because of the industry that Japan kind of instigated. But on the flip side, all the resources and natural resources of Korea were shipped to Japan, and all the goods. So they weren't really Korean goods at that point.
Yeah. So knowing all of that, do you guys, so just understanding that each group had a different impact, why don't we take a look into the religious figures together? Because this one was a very interesting dynamic. So let's take a moment to read and talk about it. Just kind of, again, just take a quick glimpse.
Me too.
As well. All right, so let's talk as a group. What do you think compared to the factory workers? How do you think the religious figures were doing compared to the factory workers?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Of course. How do you think the religious figures were doing compared to the factory workers?
It seems like they're doing better. At least the ones who are willing to collaborate or work for the Japanese. So I guess overall, I'd say better.
Okay. And about the religious figures, was there any negative repercussions? Like, did anything?
They had to go collect taxes and spread like they had to spread only a certain religious word.
And how do you think, Christina, that the people responded to that?
Are you referring to the Japanese people or the Korean people?
The Korean people.
I feel that they would not, it was not a good time for them. I know there's a quote that says that many Koreans ended up being hated by their friends, family, and neighbors. Or wait, that might be the Japanese, but the Korean people, they seemed very opposed.
Right, and that's where they are one of the most special groups next to the Yongbun, were also the elite people before Japan took over. And they also were disliked. They were also untrusted because they turned their backs on the Koreans during their time of need to keep their luxurious life in return of doing everything Japan wanted out of them.